Yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these guys to play their way onto the field or onto these watch lists and earn some postseason recognition, but it's going to take some success. It's going to take some wins, but how many would we consider a good season for Oklahoma? I'd love to hear your responses in the comment sections, or you can let us know at Locked On Sooners on social media as well. We're going to discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So Dusty Dvoracek was on the Oklahoma Breakdown with Teddy Lehman, Gabe Eichert, and they were discussing what a good season would look like for Oklahoma, given their schedule, given some of the turnover that they've faced. But Dusty Dvoracek, a well-known college football analyst, one of the best in the business, and I'm not just saying that because he's an Oklahoma guy. He's really good at his job. He said 8-4 would constitute a good season for Oklahoma. Jay, what are your thoughts on that?
8-4. After last year, yeah, I could see that being a good season. I could see that being a good bounce back, and that means that we probably lost a game in a close manner, most likely. Is that what I expect out of us? No, I don't expect us to have a good season. I expect us to have an exceptional season because we are bringing in one of the better defenses in the conference, and now we've got a quarterback that everyone's confident in. I mean, every article that I'm reading about, the quotes are ridiculous. So to me, 8-4 would typically mean that, okay, we did a lot right, and we probably did a couple things wrong here and there, so a bad bounce here or there. But I don't think that's far-fetched to say good, personally.
I'm not going to sit here and act like I know more than Dusty Dvoracek. I am going to say, though, what's that?
But you do know more than Dusty Dvoracek.
I'm going to sit here and say that I don't think any Oklahoma fan would call 8-4 a good season.
No, I can agree with that.
You might sit there and say, hey, listen, that was better. It was an improved product. They played better. It was not anywhere close to what they had in 2024. But if you're an Oklahoma fan and you're being honest with yourself, you're expecting double-digit wins, and you're expecting them to go and be a contender. Now, whether they are or not, that remains to be seen. And maybe at the end of the year, you could sit there and be like, hey, you know what? That was okay. But to call it good, to me, signifies like that's the standard. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's not what Dusty was saying, because I know that Gabe Eichert on a number of occasions has said the expectation and the standard is to compete for conference championships and national titles. That's the expectation. That is the standard. And so if we're falling short of that expectation and that standard, are we really able to call it a good season, Jay? That means you went undefeated in non-conference play at best, and you went 4-4 in SEC play.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with that? Are we comfortable calling that good? Because if we are, then maybe everything that everybody's said about Oklahoma becoming the next Nebraska might be right on. Because
I don't think
that's lowering the expectations and it's lowering the standard.
I think the standard in Nebraska is trying to make a bowl game, because that's not something that they do anymore. Sure. Like that, they've made 3 since 2000, maybe. So that isn't their standard anymore. Their 8-4 is not their standard. 8-4 is an exceptional season for Nebraska. For Oklahoma, yes, we want to get back to where our standard is 10 wins on a regular basis, and everybody can complain about that. Totally understand. I'm with you there. But it's going to be a gradual step because of the route that we took to get going in the SEC. I've talked about this before, and I've always said that there's only really one mistake that, to me, Brent Venables made when he got to Oklahoma was he didn't clean house early. He gave people a chance. He didn't fight to keep a lot of certain players, but he didn't push anybody out. He let people have the opportunity to make their decision. He didn't embrace the NIL era early, but he tried to refresh it with his guys. And he said in time, it will get there. Now we're here. 2022 class is the one that's mainly here, plus a whole bunch of transfers. These are all his dudes. So now we're going to see what Brent Venables' standard is, and which I think, if you really think about it, it's that defense we got last year. Mm-hmm. That's where our expectation is. He's got to figure out the offensive side of the ball, which is a lot tougher than we're used to. We're used to the offense being great, the defense not. And so I say 8-4 is good because I don't think it's a great season, and the expectation in Oklahoma is great seasons.
If Oklahoma had a good offense last year and they went 8-4, would we have been disappointed?
I don't think so.
I would have.
I don't think anybody would have been,
because if you have a defense that's top 20 in efficiency and you have an offense that's good, like 30 points per game, good, and you only go 8-4.
Depends on how you lose. If none of those games are lost by blowout, then I don't think anybody complains. I think everybody thinks, okay, now you need to get over the hump.
Like if you're South Carolina, like South Carolina went 9-3, they were on the verge of the playoff. Ole Miss was 9-3 on the verge of the playoff. Those teams, they loved their season, aside from just missing out on the playoff. Alabama went 9-3, and people were talking about getting rid of Kalen DeBoer after 1 year because they went 9-3 in his first season. Because Alabama has an expectation and a standard to be competing for national championships and college football playoff berths, and they fell short of it. Oklahoma hasn't been to the playoffs since 2019. They haven't competed for a conference title since 2020. This is a team that's in a drought, Jay. And the longer that we sit here and be like, it's good. I mean, listen, I know what you're saying. I know what Dusty's saying too. It's like, it'd be good for what happened last year. But I don't even consider what happened last year to be an adequate reflection of what Oklahoma football is, because everything was decimated on the offensive side of the ball. And so take that away, 2023, that's a better reflection to me of what Oklahoma can be under Brent Venables, because the offense was good and the defense was trending in the right direction. Was it great yet? No, but it was trending in a really positive direction. They made a significant stride, lowering their points per game allowed average by a touchdown per game, which was awesome. That was a huge move. And so I expect 10 wins. To me, that'd be a good season. Contending for being in the playoff, contending for a national championship, that would be a great season to me.
I'd say Oklahoma not starting over every year will probably make it a lot easier to be able to have that type of continuity. Yep. That's something we've done just about every year. 2023, when we finished the season 10-2, we should have went 11-2 if our quarterback was our starting quarterback all season was the starting quarterback in the bowl game. Yeah. Nothing against Jackson Arnold's performance. I thought he was great, but I think that Dylan Gabriel would have found ways to make sure that we kept things going throughout that entire game. Yeah, right. He's not. The situation gets a little bit better in that scenario. And then last season, Dylan Gabriel probably wins you the 8 games that you need if you would have hung on to him for one more year.
Because he can protect the ball.
Right, but at the same time, it wasn't a situation where Dylan Gabriel was going to come back because he saw the writing on the wall. He wanted to give Jackson Arnold his opportunity to lead the way, and so they did the experiment. But the Latrell experiment was probably the thing that was the biggest detriment to Oklahoma last year. But I get exactly what you're saying, that the only way you have a good season at Oklahoma is if you are winning 10 games every season. Totally understand that. But we're also in a whole new conference. Every time Oklahoma's moved conferences, it's taken a couple years for them to get going. And then when they get going, they keep rolling. Yeah, we've got to take that in consideration, too, when you look at the way the conference has changed, how the realignment has come in. And I was incorrect. Nebraska did pretty solid when they first got into the Big Ten. They've had 10 bowl games, but they've only been to one bowl game since 2017. That was kind of more so my point. It's been a while since Nebraska has won. So. Exactly, right? It's been just about a decade. They ain't been that great. I mean, they were 9-4 on a regular basis back then. And so, yes, back in the day, that would probably been a standard, but since 17, that ain't nowhere near their standard. But I digress. My point being in the argument here in this debate, which is good because you're right. We want to get back to 10 wins. For me, regardless of how we started, it's going to take us some time. I promise you, when they switch this schedule around and they start putting a lot of the top teams against our, rival down there on the south, on the other side of the river, their record ain't going to be the same. All of that changes when you have to play against real competition. We were given the toughest one. Why? Because we were winning a lot. And so now we just got to do our adjustment. And we've done the main adjustment. We're building a defense. And they're adding more players into the chamber that are ready to play on this defense. So keep that in mind when you think about Oklahoma going forward, that we've put together the position that's most important to survive this conference. Defense. Offense will get there when they'll get there. They'll get there one day. Probably this season, actually. And like you said, to me, 10-2 is a great season because of the schedule. 11-1, exceptional. Playing for the Natty, that's lightning in a bottle. And I'm going to just leave it at that.
I think this is a team that has a chance to win a lot of games.
Agreed.
Whether they do that or not, we'll see. Everything is set up for them to really have a big year this year.
Yep.
While the schedule looks tough on paper, there's a lot of turnover happening around the conference that makes this an opportunity for Oklahoma to completely rewrite the narrative. And if they don't contend for a playoff spot, I don't think it'll do enough to tell people that Oklahoma is on its way, that Oklahoma never left, that Oklahoma is still Oklahoma. So that's my big concern, is that we go through this season, we have an 8-4 year when I feel like things are set up for them to be very successful this year, to win 10 games, complete and be in a playoff spot. And if they fall short of that, it's going to feel not that different, I think, than the 6-7 year, because it will feel like a disappointment. It'll feel like a letdown, because everything that could go wrong on the offensive side of the ball last year went wrong. And this team still had an opportunity to win a couple more games.
I'm with you.
And so with everything looking like it's heading in a really positive direction, with a quarterback that is really, really good and a play caller that's really, really good, 8 wins isn't going to be enough for me, man. I'm not going to be satisfied with it.
I get it. So real quick, this is kind of how things were, unfortunately. When we went into the Big Six, we kind of struggled. We started 28. We struggled for a few years, and then we started to build up momentum. Big 7, we walked in there as a dominant squad. But as soon as we got to Big 8, we struggled for a couple years, came back up, struggled some more, and then we started to go on that big run through the Big 8 and dominate it. Then we got to the Big 12, and guess what? We struggled to start in the Big 12 for 4 years. And then we dominated for the rest of the way. My point is, the beginning is an adjustment period because it was new coaches just about every single time. John Blake was the one for Big 12, unfortunately. We struggled, but then we start to build on top of each other. And that's all it is. That's all I'm saying, John. We start off with a little bit of a struggle, and then we built that momentum up, and we start running everybody over. I think we're going to do it this time, too.
All right, everydayers, you got to let us know. What do you think? What constitutes a good season for Oklahoma? Is it 8-4, like Dusty Dvoracek is saying? Is he on point right there? Does it need to be better than that for you to feel satisfied with where Oklahoma's at? Let us know in the YouTube comment sections over at Locked On Sooners on YouTube. Also follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms at Locked On Sooners. Go check out Jay at Unfair Sports on his channel on YouTube, Unfair Sports. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. For your second listen of the day, go check out The Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. find the portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. And again, thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Well, we'll find something else to argue about. Boomer
Sooner. Something else is going to populate.
Jay.